been thinking a lot about the old SSRI thing, because I know a lot of people affected by it. I was, but it wasn't given to me because I was suffering from depression and mental illness. Strange one. I actually got to thinking about that and spoke about it in a previous video. And it's like I have a sort of understanding of an order of events as to, basically my downfall, right? From being someone who had a whole house and a job and a career and things to look forward to gone. I, for a long time, had been focusing on those who brought me down. But I only got to thinking about the terrible weakened state I was in at the time and what was going on. When I was, I say 26, I went to go to the doctors. I was complaining about what turned out to be an allergy, and the doctor took my blood pressure and my temperature, and I'm someone who, when they move in, they tend to get hot and they sweat. It doesn't mean I'm not fit. It's like I play football for 90 minutes, but I do get my breathing up. I have to get my second wind to be doing. I need a proper warm up. One of those people. So if I've walked as fast as I could to the doctors, I'd have a heart rate that was up and above. So she's seen me sat down, just arrived in time, sweating, and she's looked at me and she's thought, what's this? Sweating? Doesn't know me. Sees someone who's sweating profusely, got here in time. Takes me in, wants to talk about my allergy, but she's more interested in the sweating. And I'm like, no, it's just what I'm like. It's someone who sweats a lot. It's actually something to do with the reason I'm here. It's like I'm in trouble. I think I must be something wrong with deodorants and something started growing. There was like a lump under my arm. I had to work out for myself what that was in the end, is to say, stop using that stuff. Your body doesn't like it. It actually makes you sweat to get it out. So it was actually accentuating the problem. I had to work that out for myself, because when I went there, that doctor was taking my blood pressure, taking my temperature, asking me if I smoked, asking me if I drank, getting me on a weighing scale, and then using the body mass index indicator to tell me I was morbidly obese. I'm like, seriously? Puts it to me, are you in a high stress job? Are you under a lot of pressure? It's like, well, yeah, but I kind of thrive on pressure, It's when I'm at my best. So you'll put me in a place like that because that's where I live. And she's like, not anymore. She put it to me that I ran the risk of sudden death at any moment in time. And she told me I had to give up all the things I enjoyed doing. And she says, even with this, I don't think you'll live till you're 35. And then she put me on medication. She says, you need to go on this medication immediately. It's like, this might be the difference between life and death and prescriptions. What have they given me? Beta blockers. Prozac. Prozac makes you sick and gives you a dry mouth, so you know you're on medication. That's all it does as far as I'm concerned. Will give you diarrhea. Will upset your stomach and poison your system. Beta blockers. Well, they cut down the flow on adrenaline. It's like they had a marked effect on my ability to react to stimuli. It was like they'd taken my focus away, and there's no way it was coming back, and I was not allowed to have it back under pain of you could die. I believe them. And I'm not casting any real blame here, but it's like, I wish I was my dad, because if someone come to me with that story and said the doctors have told me I could just collapse and die at any given stage. I've been told to avoid all kinds of stress. They've put me on this medication. That's why I never go back. That's why I never go back to doctors. Like, no, you've robbed me of my ability to handle myself. You've robbed me of my ability to stand up to people. You've changed what my reactions are to certain things, and it's like suddenly you're just not yourself anymore. And you've said, no, you're not allowed to have that you once had, because it'll kill you. And it's like they tell you what your blood pressure is. It's like 120 over. And I knew people who were like medical professionals at the time, right? Like NHS, and I tell them, so what blood pressure did they have you measured at? And I told them, they're like, fuck me, you should be dead. Really? That's your resting blood pressure? I'm like, yeah. Is it 120 over 90? It's ridiculous. I can't remember the actual figures. It's something. It's all coming back to me. So everyone I spoke to who knew something, who a self-proclaimed expert on this topic, told me, it's like, yeah, you need to go on some drastic medication, because it's like you could just stroke out, heart attack, die. It's like you might be having a heart attack now. You might have been, your whole life might be an heart attack. So in that moment, right, I'm only 26. The prospect of ever being a husband or a father died. I had to. Gone. Sacrificed. Gone. And then it's a matter of what's left. And then suddenly I become a person with no needs. Selfless. It's like your future has been stolen. Your future has been taken away. The thing that you had about you that made you you, you can't have it anymore, and we're saying you can't have it again or you'll die. So that's where things sort of collapsed. In that, as to, well, why bother? It's like, I'm telling you, you're wrong. And you're telling me you're making it worse. So I find myself in this because I'm only up against my GP. There's no higher authority you can take these kind of things to. It's a matter of she's decided, based on it. The piece of information she had that I didn't. And that was blood group. It was years later I found out I'd just been outright lied to. And that a resting blood pressure like mine is very common for someone who's a type O negative. Just common. It's like characteristics of people with type O negative blood. It's like high blood pressure, higher than normal, always. She had that information on a computer screen, and she decided not to see it, or she decided to weaponize it. Because I'll tell you something, in the mind of some, me at that age, dead, is worth a lot of fucking money to the NHS. Imagine the celebrities who could fucking be kept alive for just a few more years with my fucking organs. To look at it as that, see, I could trick this guy into fucking running himself off a cliff. I threw the pills away, took back what was mine, and was left with all the different levels of things that had gone on in the meantime, was left with us. What the fuck is this place? But by then, it's like the reality had dawned on me, mind and my body, that, well, you're going to die soon anyway. If you've come off the medication and you're just going to now try and start again as someone who hasn't got any needs and no aspirations, because you could be dead at any time. Fuck it. That had already set itself in stone. There was a part of me down based on what everyone had said from all different directions. I was just like, make the most of it. You could be dead tomorrow. You could be dead next week. You could be dead next... And I'm in my 20s. And how old am I now? On my way to being 48. That was a fucking terrible crime done to me by the NHS. Whether it be something they deliberately did to stitch me to fucking, just to basically to get to harvest my ass. Or it was an obtuse piece of medical malpractice. Because I tell you what, that I come to know and come to learn, it's like, oh, years later, it comes to me that it's like, yeah, you're a type O negative. It's like, if the blood services ever find out, or you ever sign up anywhere for that, it's like, you'll be endlessly fucking mithered by the NHS. You know, those people at one time, I was so low, they had me in tears. People from the NHS, women with Irish accents, calling you up at all times, saying, Mr. Collins, it's like, it says here you haven't given any blood in the last 2 months, and you do realise that you're extremely important to us. It's like, and it's like you can keep people alive. And it's like when you don't when you don't give blood, you just be thinking about who you could be saving while you. And it's like, if you gave me the 12 quid it cost me to get there and back, I'll do it. Just to stop you ringing me up. In the end, I was in tears with one of them. I'm like, please stop laying this guilt on me that I'm somehow killing kids. Because I refuse to give you fucking a pint of blood a fucking month. It's like, there seemed to be some sort of happy marriage of different parts of the state. One to tell me, well, you're dying, it doesn't matter. You'll live longer if you go back on the pills. And then another part saying, while you're still here, we'd like to drain off every possible bit of fucking blood from you. And eventually, we'd like to harvest your organs. It's like, you're down on the list, aren't you, for a transplant? It's like I escaped from it, but the programming as to, you dying, stayed. Damage was done. So what an incredible construct that was played on me. And it's like, they get these folk who talk about, it's like, targeted individual. A lot of them are paranoid, and if you start talking like that to them, it enables it. It makes them actually feel good about themselves, that they're important enough to be fucking stalked. So it really does provide the perfect cover for those who are being nudged and manipulated, because we can serve a better need to the old state than we can just paying a few quid in fucking income tax. So, oh yeah, it's like blood bag me, who's not playing ball. Dirty bastards. It's like way back when I used to try and be more practical about the matter, and I was more confused about this fucking meteor that I'd been hit with. I became in some ways vulnerable to the old mystic, and people who I'd now regard as being like fucking crackpot, rationalising, fucking mean-spirited, fucking paranoid whores who've taken a like to you, right? Back then, they were women with tarot cards and fucking urges and fucking special fucking revelations that this, these crazy women who crack on their psychic as like an excuse for being crazy women. They're putting it to me, one of them once. It was one of these weird things where they give themselves the right to like call you in the middle of the night, you know. And she put it to me. She says, "You're under a spell. It's like you're under the influence of a witch." I says, "Can you be more specific?" She's like, "Well, no, but I just know that you are." Yeah, it turns out she was right. I wasn't really fucking dying, was I? Just thought I was. Wasn't really dying. But by then it's a matter of there's a thing about coincidence as to that's a great wrong that's been done to me there, and I think God has a way of compensating those who have got prepared souls, I'd say. As to if I died or took my own life in that time, those who'd decided I was worth money to them, they would have won. And there's part of me that is at 47 is like I'd happily stay in the game until I was 90, so there wasn't a fucking shred of me left that they could fucking put to use. Motherfuckers. Fucking years later, right? Years later, you get to find out as to say, hey, shit, it's like, oh, right. Turns out I'm fine, but you find this out years later because you've got the old internet to go and read. You can go and find out, you can do the research, something can bring it to mind, and it'd be a matter of, oh, fuck me. There's nothing wrong with me. Fancy them not knowing that. It's like, well, they did know that. It's like, you're not fucking uncommon. It's like they just found a way that they can put pills in you. They just know they can trick you. And they can also use that whole mechanism of the people around you. You might ask, saying, oh my God, yes, your blood pressure is so high, you should actually be dead. Why aren't you on the floor fucking collapsing now? And it's because I'm a different fucking species, kid. But like the last remnants of some fucking ancient, fucking long bloodline that goes way back to the very fucking beginning, and through means of chemistry and gaslighting, brainwashing, they've pretty much castrated me. Turned me into something different. It's like those witch motherfuckers doing that. And then it'd be a matter of, when I was questioning this, it's like these pills I'm on, it's like, I don't like this, I'm going to go back to the doctors. The right move was to have thrown them in the fucking bin the first time they made you shit your pants. And ignored, but you can't, can you? A so-called doctor, the people we're supposed to trust, had told me that I ran the risk of sudden death. It's like, if that's not a fucking spell cast on you by a witch, and I don't know what it is. And it's like, people who do things like that are evil. You know why they're evil? Because they don't give a fuck of what the repercussions of what they said. They'll be bragging to the mates saying, hey, convinced one fucking bloke today that he was fucking gonna die. Just tricked him with the old blood pressure thing. Oh yeah, I've stuck him on the beta blockers. He won't be causing any women in trouble in the future, will he? And to know that there are people like that. I know there are people like that. It's like, there are people who are cunts like that. Who do something like that in the name of fuck them. Yeah, we're trying to lower the IQ of the population. This is what we got here. A fucking type O negative, a fucking old blood in a poor body. Oh, what can we make of him? Well, we know things about the way he works that he doesn't, and we can use them against him. What? Thank you very much. So I'm sat in that moment thinking about it, fucking furious as to the last time I actually went to see a doctor. I was having trouble with my back, and they hadn't seen me in that surgery for 20 years. And the child, who talked down to me like I was a child, he tried to lay the line on me that nothing can be done about my back because they have to protect the NHS. Excuse me. Yes, it could be very expensive and time consuming for them to do anything about my recurring back problems. So he in essence suggested, we're not interested, we're not going to do this. Go and seek out a private solution. Was it? But his rationale for it was to protect the NHS. And it made a matter of, across this room 20 years ago, across this fucking surgery, some old witch doctor who hastened the speed of my grandmother's demise, I might add, told me that I was suddenly going to die and wouldn't make it to 35 years old, and I've never been back. Yet here I am, very much alive. It's like I was on that cocktail of drugs, right? And once upon a time, every now and then, I stumbled and actually fell, just collapsed. And went to the doctors with it. And they were, I used to wear headsets all the time, so you always have, in essence, your ears are always damp. And they told me that I had an inner ear infection and gave me antibiotics for it. It wasn't a fucking inner ear infection. Those fucking pills. It's like, you go and read the side effects, and then also the potential toxicity of that mix. As to say, we don't do this to people anymore. Why? It says because there's a reaction to adrenaline toxicity. I'm like, well, what the fuck does that mean? Now, if you've got other problems, this will make it, this combination of drugs will make them worse. And I'm like, oh, what, the ones they give me? And I was like, am I supposed to think that they didn't know that then? Because I wasn't in there saying I'm depressed. But I came out of there prescribed 2 different psychotropic medications. And having spoken to them, I finally knew what it was to be truly fucking depressed. It's like, part of me died about that. And it came back, but that was terrible and a story told often.